What is going on, GeekyCast fam? Once again, we have more news and whatnot, and what we can assume is Avengers versus X-Men versus Fantastic Four. Let's get right into this video because we got a lot to talk about. The story goes on to say that the X-Men are going to be fighting the Avengers and the Fantastic Four together. We don't know exactly why, but we know that Doom is going to get this orchestrated and whatnot. And now we have more information. So if you remember, at first we were told this. Alan Cumming seemingly reveals that his Nightcrawler will fight Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards in Avengers vs. Doomsday. I'm sort of learning these fights and I'm like, what? Who am I fighting with? They're like, you're hitting Pedro Pascal against the head. And if you don't remember, he actually had that interview, I believe it was BuzzFeed UK, but he went through a whole entire interview where he sat down and was talking about it. And it was a good, I think it was an hour long, but you know, that's where the information starts to come forward, because then this came out today, which was Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom will reportedly use the Avengers and the Fantastic Four to take on the X-Men in Avengers Doomsday. Now, the thing is this. Why are the Fantastic Four trusting Dr. Doom? Do they not have a Dr. Doom on their world? Is Dr. Doom from the X-Men world? This is where I think we're going with this. I don't know. Once again, this is just a theory based on facts. We are hitting Doomsday, and there's not a lot of things going around right now. You know, usually when I find stuff out, I tell you guys right away, but this seems to be everywhere. Marvel's putting out fake leaks and whatnot, and this was reported by Quid Vocao Cineverso. I don't know how reliable they are, but I did have somebody translate to me what exactly they said in their article. So, as follows. In parallel to these rumors, an anonymous source whose veracity is, as always, questionable, so once again, grain of salt, has shared that Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, in an alternate version of the character, is orchestrated the conflict between the Avengers and the mutants as part of a larger plan. According to this testimony, Doom would use the Avengers as a tool to confront the mutants in order to weaken both factions. His ultimate goal would be to gain access to a power source capable of reviving his own destroyed universe, thus introducing a tragic and personal subtext to a villain who, in this version, could fuse elements of both Tony Stark and the classic Doom. Although this information cannot be considered confirmed, it fits coherently with other narrative threads that Marvel has recently developed in comics. Now, once again, he goes on to say Doom would use Avengers as a tool to confront the mutants in order to weaken both factions. His ultimate goal would be to gain access to a power source capable of reviving his own destroyed universe, which is obviously Loki. We do know he's going after Loki. He needs that in order to rewrite the timelines, in order to change it all in his image and to revive his world. Now, once again, they said his world is destroyed, which could also, once again, put emphasis that maybe Doom is the one who came on the Fantastic Four ship with the Thunderbolts, and then the Avengers go with him with the Fantastic Four and fight against the X-Men. Maybe the Fantastic Four we're looking for are in their universe, but once again, they say Pedro Pascal, so we don't know where they're at. You know, for all we know, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four can already be talking, and then the Avengers and Doom can show up, and it can be an all-out fight or whatnot, but it does have us wonder, you know, he's having them fight each other. It's obviously to have them not be able to stop him. But is he trying to get a hold of Monica? Because if you don't remember, Monica from the Marvels is in there, and she has the ability to cut open rifts to get to places. Is he going to try to harness her power in order to get to the TVA? Because we do know, once again, by Alex who stated this, that the TVA is in the third act, and it is a multiversal variant battle in the TVA in order to get Loki's powers, which he obviously has to get to Sylvie to get to Loki. So, I don't know where we're going, but all I know is they're saying, you know, he's using elements of Stark and classic Doom. He's going to use his face, obviously, to manipulate the Avengers to take over to the X-Men, and I'm assuming that's how they're doing it. They're trying to get Monica back, but while this is going on, once again, as Alex from Cosmic Circus has stated, incursions, maybe there's an incursion going on this world right now, and this world gets destroyed, and maybe the X-Men don't actually make it in the long run. Maybe all of them die in Doomsday, and then, you know, obviously when Doom remakes the world in his own image or in his own, you know, way that he wants to live, then they pop back up. But that's where I feel like this is going. I do also want to mention this. So if you guys remember, at the end of at the end of Thunderbolts, that ship shows up. So if it's not Doctor Doom and it's the Fantastic Four, here's why I feel like it's not the normal Fantastic Four, but it's a variant of the 2005 one. Now, if y'all remember, Josh from Dead and Nerd said this is a vision that one of them get. I'm assuming more than likely it's Reed Richards. But if you remember Multiverse of Madness, there's a thing where Doctor Strange says, Sinister Strange says to Doctor Strange, do you ever have that dream where you're falling off of a large building? That was probably me. And then the eye pops up. We go through that. We go through America Chavez saying, when you have these dreams where you're falling or blah, 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 blah. I can't remember exactly what she says. She goes, those are your variants, essentially. And then she shows him the dead body. I think that was the 2005 Fantastic Four's universe being destroyed. And they went over to the Thunderbolts because the ship is different. I think the actual Fantastic Four with Pedro and all them is still in their own world, and at the beginning of the film, it blows up. Whether it's an incursion, whether it's Doom, whatever, and we're going to have multiple different teams, multiple different variants in Doomsday. Like maybe Young Grufford's Reed Richards fights Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards. We don't know. All we know is it's going to be crazy. There's going to be so many variants. There's going to be so many worlds coming together in an incursion point, and anything is possible. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys think is in that Fantastic Four ship, and how do you think Doom is going to convince the Avengers to fight the X-Men? Let me know down below.